Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Night Coffee Talk on the Radical Geek YouTube channel. Uh, Tonight we're going to be talking about Pu'er tea, and I'm going to do a real quick steamed coffee egg custard, or as we often call it, egg pudding. But let's see who's here first. I see Carrie. Carrie, wow, look at your accomplishments. That is so awesome. Hoofing it. Hey, good morning or good evening. It feels like good morning. So, hi Jen. Oh, I'm glad to see you here. But hope that you're getting lots and lots of rest. So let's see. Uh, Sharon. Hey, good evening, Sharon. Yay, KPL 2023. I vote yes, 1,000 times yes. Hi, Rickwin and Jennifer. Good to see you tonight. So let's see. Wow, just lots of hellos back and forth. Hungry Heath, hey yo. So, all right, and Bluegrass Girl has joined us, and Lisa's here. So, okay, I was gonna ask. We made some changes down here. Also, I went ahead and I put a different colored cloth down. I thought that was gonna help with the reflection. So, uh, I'm glad that it looks better. We put a couple of lights up here, which helped, I think, having them behind as opposed to just in front. And I think that makes a huge difference. And I'll keep tweaking on it, of course. We've got lots of changes to make. Hey, hey, Des. Oh, D. Sorry, I can't. By the way, D, I don't think I've seen you on here a lot before. You should know that I can't see, and I have yet to hook up a projector where I could make everything real big. So, but it's good to see that you join us. And oh, never mind. Now I see who it is. So I can't keep up with the name changes. And today, man, I am still trying to recover from my wild weekend. So, okay. And Jen says that the lights and cloth make a big difference. I'm so glad. It's been a struggle because I don't really know what I'm doing. So, uh, we probably will be shorter today. Not that I don't have interest in it. I could probably do like a whole nother talk to actually be intelligently speaking on the Pu'er tea. But today I am just so not the sharpest tool in the shed. It's just but I will tell you guys, my weekend was amazing. Oh, it was just glorious. But we've talked a lot about steamed custards and egg puddings, and that's what I'm going to do tonight because it's easy. I am definitely ready for food. This morning, we woke up, got out of bed at noon, and we needed food. So I had a partial piece of ribeye steak, and so I seared that off in my saute pan, and then I threw in some more butter and made myself some dirty eggs, and that was my meal one for today. I was experimenting and tried to make beef chips following what we did when I tried to make chips off that TikTok. It was okay. I think I'm missing something, or maybe just the TikTok and the chicken chips is not as exciting as they make it sound. But I did eat them. It was very, very okay. I don't know. I might mess with it some more and see if I can come up with something. But so that was it. But you can only, in my air fryer, even though it's an enormous air fryer, you can only make 8 of them at a time, and they're like quarter sized. So it's not very much. So I'm definitely ready. This is my meal 2 for the day, and it's late. My everything is topsy-turvy. So let's see. Hey, the warden has joined us, and Gigi's here. I love to see everybody. But like, check out how super simple this is. We've done an egg pudding on this before, but it's been a while and people keep asking questions, so I thought we would just throw it together, and that made it easy peasy. I've got 3 eggs. Really, you can use, as long as you have a big enough bowl, remember it's going to double up in size. You can use as many eggs as you want. Weigh it as you open the eggs into your bowl, and then weigh in the same amount of fluid. In my case today, it's 150 grams of each. So I'm going to bust these yolks up a little bit. Now with the coffee, this is more of a savory application. I tell you, I am 100% convinced that if I sweetened the coffee and put it in there, this would be an amazing dessert. It would be spectacular, but it's pretty nice in a savory application. So I just wanted to break up the yolks a little bit before I start whisking in the coffee. It's really super important that the coffee is really chilled. You don't want to put lukewarm or hot coffee into the eggs, or they will scramble instead of custardify. That's my made up word today, custardify. And what I have here is a double boiler with the hot water. It's ready to go. It has holes in the bottom. And one thing I learned early on is I have one of these silicone lifters that I use in an Instapot. It's perfect in here as well, which makes getting this out of there so much less treacherous and easy. And this is definitely the dish for the days when your capacity is low, because it is very satisfying and filling, but also, as you can see, very easy to put together. I just put this in the top of the steamer, I put on the lid, and we leave it go for like 10 minutes. That's it. Our recipe is done. Yes, I did write it in the descriptions, so after this publishes, it'll be there. And let's look through the comments here before we talk about the tea. Good, I'm glad that the scenes are looking better. I really love this. Orange is my favorite color, plus it's Halloween-y, even though I'm going to keep this and just watch it and continue with the orange for a while. I really like it. I have a dark burgundy one, so we'll try that out sometime too. Let's see. Talking about the oh, bluegrass girl's sick too. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks. So hopefully that you guys get better. Let's see. Changing up about the works. No more candy on the house at Halloween. I'm telling you guys, one of the very popular things we've given away at our house is Play-Doh. You can order it on Amazon and buy it in educator packs. So they're just the teeny tiny Play-Dohs, and they love that. You can also wholesale buy, if you plan way ahead of time, sidewalk chalk, and you buy it in a quantity. You just put part of it away in your closet, and that's a good alternative as well. Let's see. Lots of conversation back and forth. Oh, and Jen said she made egg custard with leftover coffee for lunch today. I hope you like it. I like it a lot. I will tell you that I tried to like fancy it up previously, and I used the instant coffee and froth it all up like you do with Greek coffees or Greek frappes or dalgonas. And don't do that, because it was really weird. The top gets very foamy, and the egg separates underneath below it and gets like very rubbery. So that was a no-go. So I'll save that around. Carrie's making awesome dad jokes, which we love on this channel. Let's see. Oh, and he says he slept in until 7 this morning. Usually he's awake at 5. I will tell you, we are usually awake at 5 too, but not when we stroll in the door at 3:45 in the morning. So that definitely was the bumper thing. I'll talk to you guys a little bit about the event too once we get rolling on the tea. And Jennifer's asking if anyone's going to dress up tomorrow. Demonic saying my voice sounds different, like I've been screaming at folks. So I have been screaming at folks. When you are at a large event for 3 days in a row with the bass feeling pounding in there, and you got to communicate with someone, you're talking really loud. So yeah, there's been a lot of that. And so definitely I'm feeling that. I am a little bit deep sounding today, but it was glorious. Hoofness gets to work from home tomorrow, so no dressing up here. I may dress up here anyways. I'll dress up for trick or treat at least. Although probably I'm going to wear one of those suits that I wore over the weekend. They were super comfortable, and I'm thinking, man, I have all these elaborate cosplays, but they're so much work, and this was like just slip on my Lycra like I do every day and good to go. So, uh, oh, Lisa says she had to toss the pan she previously used for egg pudding and custards. Planning on trying to make it in the Instant Pot. Yeah, they'll work fine in the Instant Pot. I haven't got the timing down on it yet, but you would use something like this silicone piece in there and put your container right on top of that. The steam function on the Instant Pots works fantastic. You'll need less time, even less than the 10 minutes that we're using here, because it takes time to get up to pressure. So. Oh, hey, exchange student two, welcome tonight. All right, so what I have here today is a Pu'er tea. Pu'er tea is a lot of times comes in cakes, but sometimes if you buy small batches from retailers that have bought it from wholesalers, they have the cakes get broken up, and so they come in, let me try and get it where you can see it, chunks. And what I have done is broken off a couple chunks to come to the 5 grams that I need. The Pu'er tea is a high temperature tea, whereas last time we were using a very low with the Jujinmai. This time it is going at a high temperature, 212, and that's because it's part of the steep process. We're breaking up the leaves and really expanding them. I was going to use my Gongfu tea brewer that we used last time, but it met with a tragedy and I busted the glass on it. And so, oh darn, I'm going to have to go shopping for a new one. So, I know we'll be very sad about that. But I got my lovely little miniature travel tea brewer. And I thought, well, how much fun is that? We'll just use this tonight. Now, previously I explained about multiple steeps and how we could, and on the Junjinmai, we could do 5 to 7 steeps. This Pu'er is a sturdy hunk of tea, and it continues to change and grow with the steeps. You can steep it up to like 15 times even. And I have my water here, so I'm going to go ahead and do our first brew. And it's just like the other ones. Just like we did, like we've done with everything else, we're going to do on this case, because it's tea, a first steep. And we're going to let that sit for just a couple seconds. Pop that on. Let it get infused with that water. You can see it's very pale. It's just going to start loosening up that tea from the cake. And then we will discard that first one because you don't want to drink that because it's got the bitters. So your first steep, but it really, oh, I just spilled. That's why we have a nice little napkin here. That's too fast and I spilled it off. So first steep, that's the other thing with a lot of teas. You steep it longer, and with like bag teas, you're steeping for like 3 to 5 minutes. A heavy duty cake like this, we're just going to do like, well, you can sort of see how dark golden it is. First steep, and these only need subsequently, I'm going to dump it off into a discard bowl. Warmed everything up, has started to loosen up the leaves so they're not all solid, gives time for the flavor to develop and infuse. Takes me a second to get it emptied out here. And now we're ready for the next steep. And let me go. I have some tongs here. Let me just pull it out. Now you can see I no longer have a cake. Well, I do a little bit, but it's already growing. It's burning my fingers because I pulled it out. And that will continue to expand inside the teapot. Normally, I would not recommend that you continue poking at it. But for the live stream, we're going to poke at it. Now we go ahead, and now we're going to do steep number 2. It's also short. We just pour our water right over it. and let it go. And then we'll be ready to have our tea. Let it cool down just a smidge. Let's see. Keep my water at temperature. I gotta say, I'm loving that the gooseneck hold at temperature. Because that's super nice on that. Let's see. And Carrie is saying that the pu'er can also come loose as well. I will tell you that if you get a loose a pu'er that's loose, it means that the retailer has broken up the cakes. And I would suggest that you not buy one that's been broken up quite that much. If you're going to get a broken up pu'er, you want to go ahead and get one that's in chunks. You want to have them because, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes about that. I'm just peeking in, see the jiggliness of my custard. Oh, it's not even close. I'm going to turn the flame up to get my water steaming a little bit higher. I let it get too cool. Carrie says we're going up the mountain with the steeps. One thing that Carrie is telling that is mentioning to Bluegrass that when he was drinking tea and coffee, he had Emperor's Pu'er, black tea, and it was wonderful. Yeah, so Pu'er is a really awesome tea, and it was at one point in time reserved for royalty. Obviously, those times have passed, and I don't think you can really tell in here, but now the second steep, even though it's still only been a couple short seconds, it's way deeper and richer in color. So we're just going to pour it into our cup. And for a second here, I'm going to lift my brewer out and set it aside so that it does not continue to steep and be over brewed. Let this cool. Give it a good smell. That's one of the best things that we talk about with the teas is getting that nice aroma in there. And Pu'er is amazing. It is, this is an aged Pu'er. And technically, there's a lot of controversy whether you call it aged or not. Because it's technically not aged, it's fermented. But once it's got that fermentation process going and they squish it down and press it into cakes, it sits for a long time. You're looking at like 5 to 7 years at minimum. You can buy cakes of Pu'er that are, and pay a small fortune, and they've been aged like 15 years. So it really has a lot of variability to it. It's still too hot. And Hoofinit says they don't like hot drinks. Will this kind of tea have a good flavor as iced tea? I don't know. I've never had an iced Pu'er before. If I were gonna ice tea, I would go with oolong. Or if I wanted to get maybe a little bit of a different flavor, possibly an Earl Grey, because that has the flowers in it. And that adds an uplifting sort of herbaceous sweetness to, that's very compatible with icing. I think a Pu'er is really very much more leaning towards the hot tea. Oh, Carrie has mentioned that he was reading in China that has a tea that is over 3,000 years old. I bet that is amazing, but also really super pricey. Think of the bidding war. Oh, let's see. Oh, Demonic says, Happy Halloween to people. That's right. Happy Halloween. Happy Hallows Eve. Are you all ready for Halloween? It's really good. Now, there's something too to mention. A lot of times, a lot of people think Pu'er tastes dirty or moldy. And if you get a dirt or a mold flavor in your Pu'er, throw it out and complain to whoever sold it to you, because it should never be that way. It can have a little bit of an earthy back tone to it, but it's actually really shouldn't. It should be But earthy is different than dirt. And it has, to me, almost dark fruity sort of a back end to it, kind of I'm not sure what the right word is, and maybe like a little back end of chocolatey to it. Not like super chocolate. You're not going to taste like you're eating a chocolate bar, of course, but just that kind of a sensation in the mouth. Oh, and Jen says she added butter to the coffee egg custard this afternoon for some richness, but it just floated on top of the cooked custard. That's how I usually put my butter. I brought butter down. I like it, and I let it cool up on top. And it adds an extra bit of saltiness to it. And then as I cut into it, the butter oozes in. And as I continue to eat it, it adjusts the flavor. So I definitely, I still vote yes for that. I thought I brought a big, I meant to bring a big plate down to set my steamer basket on, but I did not. So let me just drag this up. So, yeah, I know I talked a little bit about having an event. So I actually volunteer at an event here in Columbus. It's a 3-day event. It's an art exposition, a Halloween party, all kinds of content, very edgy, the whole 9 yards, and still too jiggly for my liking, although a lot of people might want to pull this now. But so the event though, so when you're on staff, you get there at really stupid early, like between 3 and 4 in the afternoon. And actually on the very first day, a lot of people get there around noon to get everything, to get the location and the venue set up and everything just so. And what happens though is you get there and you get registration going and you get the event spaces set up and music equipment and stages set up. There's multiple stages, multiple dancing areas, multiple demonstration areas. There are water supplies, the bar supplies, the kitchen supplies, everything that has to happen that day. So you get there at noon, and then everybody rushes around like crazy, and it's pretty, for all the chaos, it's actually surprisingly organized. And you need that time in between when VIPs and stuff sort of start showing up. And performers get some time before the doors open to come to some of the other areas in there and share in the event. Because when you're performing, there is no spare time. So, but that means some of us who do some of the other activities are starting early. But sometimes there's a large gap where there's nothing to do. And that's the worst part because you have time to remember how tired you're already before the event even starts. Almost. Still a bit too jiggly for my liking. It is getting there. I can see how it's starting to firm. Exchange Student 2 says they've been inspired to make their egg custard last week. They don't really care for it. They prefer runny yolks. But you learned how to make a French omelet. So, French omelets are amazing. I'm going to have to do one of those soon as well. I think that's great. And you know what? That's what's so great about eggs is that you can have them so many different ways. All right. Hey, good night, Sarah. I hope that you feel better soon. Oh, it sounds miserable. You actually need some hot tea, but not this kind. Oh, hey, Blue Dove. Good to see you. I know we don't get to see you very often, but I'm glad that you're here. Oh, yeah, Carrie. China does make coffee. They actually have a very robust coffee. They are amazing at pretty much hot beverages. So anyway, so this event, as we're going through everything and getting all set up, finally, you know, I'll tell you, we're in a new venue this year, so we had to learn like all new ways to do stuff and have and ways to function together. Our groups were in a slightly smaller space, but while it was smaller and that made some things harder, it actually worked to kind of bring us a little bit closer together, and where periodically there may have been like a little bit of friction here and there. That all seemed to have melted away throughout the pandemic, and we were just so pleased as punch to be working together. And I was really, really glad about that. There were people that I haven't seen the entire pandemic, and even as we started reopening and we started getting together, it was just fantastic. All right. And you can see as this sat, it's gotten even darker. Now it's almost coffee as it sat there. And we're going to do steep number 3. And you'll get to see how it's changed even more. And immediately now, as those leaves have had a chance to really start opening up and rehydrating, whoop, you can see now it's instantly super rich and dark. So, you know, I don't know what else to say. So, and as you continue with each steep, the flavor changes just a little bit. So, let me get this out again. And that is all you need, is those few seconds. You definitely don't want to be over brewing this and leaving it there for minutes. It will be disgusting. And this lets it breathe in air for serving so you don't scald your tongue off. And that was steep number 3. I believe my eggs are done. Let me get rid of the flame here. I have to adjust my dishes over here a little bit. This is the best part here. So I take this, and now I do not have to struggle to get it onto my plate, which there is always a struggle. So you can see, and there is a little bit of liquid on the top from the steam. Either leave it like that or don't worry about it, and I just let it seep in, and it will as you eat it. I like it because it has the coffee flavor infused to it. And I go ahead and I just put my 2 butter dollops. I love that they're bouncing on the top there. And that is everything we needed to make a nice, lovely, a hearty sort of meal. Let me get in here. I'm just going to spread my butter around. And Jen, you're right. Like I said, it will puddle up on the top, and I like that. So, I mean, I have a pool right here. That would be a spoon of butter. But I'm going to break right into the custard so I can show you. I honestly don't know if this is going to show up if I get up there to the camera. I'm going to go around. It might be, it might not look right. Or I might miss because I'm not entirely sure where it is. But I'm going to slip around and put this in front of the camera just so you can see it. Make sure I don't fall. So there it is. There's the smooth jiggly custard with the coffee infused flavor to it. So either I just stood there and like waved it off to the side and you didn't see anything, or it's gonna you'll have seen the creamy custardiness of it. So everything is hot. Oh, and Demonic says that people wanting to play Ring Around the Rosie, and so I'm glad that the ghost hunt was great. That sounded awesome. Demonic went on a ghost hunt. So, and then, oh, I didn't go over my what I ate today. Well, I did because I talked about my steak and dirty eggs for meal one. But yesterday, I changed it up. After I did my video and put it out, things didn't go as planned. I wound up actually grilling a steak, and I ate about half of it, which is why I had half of it today with my dirty eggs. But then, about after we finished last night, the two people who are basically in charge of our area invites everyone out to breakfast. They went to Denny's, and so we went ahead and joined. It was almost tempting to just go home and like crawl into bed, but we definitely went to breakfast, and I ordered a hamburger patty and 3 eggs and 4 slices of bacon. They forgot one of my eggs, but they also didn't put it on the bill, so we didn't worry about it. As it turned out, it was just right. I was really glad that we got the food, because by the time we got there, I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm hungry. And we spent time swapping stories, talking about everything we'd all been doing during the pandemic. We spent our time kind of reacquainting ourselves, just being happy that we were in each other's presence again. It was great. We had another friend who was there and who had been keto for quite some time, and said during some stress, while they had like a couple deaths in the family and everything, they had fallen off the keto wagon, and they're looking to get back on it, because he said within the month that he put back on 20 pounds. So I'll make sure I give him some extra support and props there. Yeah, I am totally sold on the coffee egg pudding or custard, and by the time I reintegrate sweetener into my food plan, I actually think that rather than a savory meal, I would probably like to make this and have it with a meal as my end of meal dessert. There's some positives of the BBBE. I had gotten into a bad habit of putting sweetener in a lot of stuff, and now that we've worked out of it, I think that I feel like I definitely have broken that desire for things to get sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. So I do think that that's been a real positive of the BBBE, and I am, but mostly what I'm looking for is to find out what's been giving me like the occasional bout of hives and stuff like that, and so I'm a little bit nervous about the reintroduction. I hope it's not something that I totally love, because that will be a major disappointment. So let's see, where are we? Carrie's jokes. That was a good one. You have to watch that you don't get tea drinkers mad, because they would get teed off. That one cracks me up. I don't know why. It was like extra funny for me. Demonic is a kid at heart. Rickwin says Demonic is a ghost whisperer. And the warden says they didn't get dressed up. They dressed casual because they were walking all over town at midnight. Smart move. That's something too that we have learned over the years in our event, is that you are standing up for hours and hours and hours. So don't do dumb things like wear big heels or anything but very comfortable shoes, even if they don't go with your costume, because stairs, standing against the rails to watch performances, dancing for hours, standing up and doing demos or doing scares or any of the million things. I can tell you that Thursday, I don't think I sat down once I got out of my car until I got back into my car at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I got home, I walked up the stairs, and I slid into bed. And then in the morning, I got up. By the time I went back, again, Friday, there's no place. I sat down for one performance that I watched. It was, I can't even tell you how incredible it was, mind-blowing. We had a professional pianist in who played the pipe organ. The venue is an old church, and it has the old-fashioned pipe organ, you know, the one on the lower level with the pipes that go up through 4 floors of the building. And let me tell you, it was beautiful. And it was, I don't know how to, I don't have words to describe how amazing it was. Plus the performers who were, you know, up in the suspension rigs and things like that were just, I cannot tell you, it was, even for me who's fairly jaded and used to a lot of crazy stuff, my mind was blown with it. It was spectacular. So I look forward to it. And, but again, you know, that was like 30 minutes out of the whole night. And again, 2 o'clock in the morning, coming home, sliding into bed. Let me tell you, there's no way that was going to be done in heels. I've worn boots before in the past, and that was okay because they're big, chunky boots. But I was super glad to be in my old lady, you know, orthopedic comfort Mary Janes. And I believe that more than one woman there who was wearing heels looked at me and said, "You're the cutest kitty cat, and look how comfortable your feet are." And I was like, damn straight. So, man, it's just hitting the spot. And Blue Dove says they've been craving sweets this month. Next month will be about dialing it back. Yeah, especially if you've had any impediments from it, or if it's preventing you from, if you're having more of the sweets and then not taking in as much of the nutrition from the fats and proteins that you need. It's one of those things that we all have to do sometimes, but if it's not impeding you, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Only if it's been interfering or changing your taste so that some of the stuff that you should be eating is not as delightful. All right. It's a lot of tea here. Someone else should get a cup and come down and have some tea. Oh, and Carrie says I don't have any Dalmatians to hit spots. No, I just have a crazy little Pomeranian. I think he's becoming the president of the Nervous Little Dog Society. And Hungry, he says silly jokes are always funnier when you are super tired. I don't know, that's true. It's true. So, and I will tell you that it's good for my ego at this event because so many people say so many complimentary things. And then, of course, so many people say so many inappropriate things because they've been heavy drinking. I'll tell you guys, though, it was a first for me this year. Never have I ever been invited to join so many threesomes, which, you know, it's like, you know, well, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed the show, but no. So, usually we get marriage proposals or things like that, and you know, or like $2 tips, things like that. But this year it was the invite if you would like to come home, and I'm gonna attribute that to keto because and my exercise because I'm definitely firmer than I have been in the past. I just top my clamp up, and we're gonna do one more steep. You can just set that right here. I have had a taker on the tea. And now I can tell you there is no more cake in the tea. It is completely broken apart. The leaves are now starting to open. I have overfilled it. Oops. Well, I'm making a mess. Let me get a different towel. Let me get a thicker towel down here. Don't you know, you put down a new cloth, so the first thing you gotta do is make a spill. Quick, before I get it too dirty. There we go. All right, so now I can spill as much as I need it to. But as I go ahead and let the tea out, the steam is burning my fingers. And you can see this time it's not as dark. Well, I don't know if you can see on the camera as much, but you can see this time it's slightly more golden, but it's not weaker. The smell is actually good and strong. But you can see, let me take a little sip off of this. Well, I don't know if you can see the difference side by side. But this one is nearly black and this one is more golden. And now you share your tea with your friends. And you can run right off with that. So, all right, let's see. Let's see. Oh, and Jennifer says it may take a minute to get here from Indy. So, yeah. I'll have to remember that you're in Indy, though, because when I go out to Gen Con, we can meet up at the Fogo de Chao downtown. I know the parking will be rough for you, for locals. I don't know if locals in Indy care to be downtown when it's Gen Con, but I'm just saying Fogo de Chao is delicious. Oh, and we cannot wait to see the video by Heath and Shelley. Okay, I'm definitely waiting for that to publish then. Get on that, Hungry Heath. Let's see. Kind of like Adam Sandler movies are funnier afterwards while discussing them among friends. You know, that's definitely true. Hoffiness says the hand coming in to steal a tea was like the thing. I haven't seen the Addams Family this year. Oh, I'm going to have to find that. It is the right season. And Demonic says the Brazilian place they went to last night was amazing. Nice. I was looking forward to hearing about it because I couldn't remember if that's one that you guys had talked about on the stream before. Exchange Student 2 is asking if I intermittent fast and how many hours normally, and 2 meals a day. So it has been just sort of working out that way. Do I purposefully intermittent fast? Sometimes. And I do, I mean, it just tends to work with how I work because I get up really, really stupid early, and then there's a bunch of chores to do and work gets rolling, and then I have like a period between 7 and 9 where I have time to get a meal, and by then I'm usually ravenous, so I have a really big meal because I want all the foods, and I'm not really easily sated with that first meal, so it's a larger meal, and then it holds me on for a really long time. But by about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I get hungry again. And so I usually do have another whole meal. And that meal holds me because I go to bed early, about the time that I would probably normally start getting hungry again and want a little something. Then it's already time to go to bed and it's too much work. So I just go to bed. And it just kind of repeats. And I often find that that's good because I'm not necessarily actually hungry at that point in time. And when I wake up, I'm still not hungry until that 7 to 9 break period. So, but there are times when that doesn't work out and my schedule changes because my body's like, nope, I don't want a lot of breakfast because just no. And then I break it up and I have 3 meals, or they have a special event and I wait longer because we're having dinner at 7. On Sundays, I tend to have a small meal with us at the live stream. So it varies, but pretty regularly I eat between 7 and 9 in the morning and between 2 and 4 in the afternoon. So I do intermittent fast, but not because I'm working hard to intermittent fast. It just sort of happens that way. Oh, Carrie's asking if I saw the James Hoffmann video when he drank coffee from the 1970s. No, but I have it in my queue of things to save to watch later. I was very interested in seeing that. I love that he does crazy things. It's just one of my favorites. So, and I know I said it would be shorter today, so I kind of want to tell you just a little bit about the Pu'er. So the Pu'er that I'm drinking tonight is the Langshi aged shoe. I probably butchered that, Pu'er. So, and aged Pu'er is processed to encourage microbial fermentation, but they don't start that fermentation process until after the leaves are dried. And so that makes it age a little bit differently than other aged teas. And since it's fermented, it's questionable whether it's, you'll hear experts on tea argue voraciously about whether it's truly an aged tea or not. Listen, it sits around in the cake 5 to 7 years. I call that aged, but okay, if they want to call that fermentation time and not aged and be very nitpicky about it, that's fine. That is their life is tea, and so I will acquiesce to that. So now, one more bite. So good. So, in order for tea to be called Pu'er, it has to be made from the large leaf of the Camellia sinensis plant. There's more to the name, and I can't remember the last half of the name of the plant, but that's close enough. It's also from the Yunnan province in China's southwestern region. You'll probably remember that. And it's part of where the Han Chinese and other minorities share borders with Burma and Laos. So it's a protected origin product, which is something that the Chinese government will issue out, but they're really rare about it. So it's a pretty big deal to be a Pu'er tea. That's also why, again, it's often pricey. If you get one that's a bargain, it's probably not good Pu'er, and you want to be careful that you're getting a good Pu'er and not something that's been molded or ill cared for. So it's kind of like I said, it's a big deal, but they do take the big teas, the leaves, and it's all done by hand. That's the other thing. It's not a machine process. And that's another contributor to why it costs a little bit more. Just like the Junjin Mai tea, everything is done by hand. They get tossed in big woks just to kind of stop it from oxidizing, but they're definitely not. It's not cooked. There are some cooked Pu'ers. We'll talk about those another time. It's just enough to wick away some moisture, but not enough to kill the bacteria needed for the fermentation. So then they put it out in the sun to dry. And but again, not in a state where it's going to kill off the bacteria, because that's what's needed for the fermentation. So I'm just trying to think of what else. Yeah, and of course, as it ages, the Pu'er changes. As you break pieces of it off, the way the tea comes out and is flavored continues to change. I'm going to do one more brew here before we sign off. Well, I'm gonna warm my water up again because I let it cool down by accident. Mm. And but as you break it up, I'm just trying to think. I have some notes over here, but I didn't think to follow them. Nor did I write down basically any of the things I just said, which would have been smart. Now it's all stuff I talked about at the beginning of the stream before I thought to look at things I wrote down because I knew I was scatterbrained. Never mind. So, all right, but yeah. So again, I highly recommend that if you like a good, sturdy, strong tea, that you spend the money to get yourself a nice cake of Pu'er. It will last for ages, and it will continue to evolve in flavor, even as you break little pieces of it off. Sometimes instead of cakes, they'll come in bars with little, and the square will be pressed into it, so you have the amount to break off, and those are kind of fun too. All right, there's my final steep for me today. And we're just going to let it for a couple seconds. Let's see what we've got in the chat here. Let's see. Okay, so nothing too new. The Avenida de Brazil. Yeah, so I know there are a lot of people in Indy, so just so you guys know, I will make sure that at Gen Con, I make a point to reach out to you all so that maybe we can arrange a group meetup at the Fogo de Chao. If people are interested in such things. Like, I don't know who's not interested in going to the steakhouse. The nice thing is it's just far enough away from all of the happenings is that while you get some Gen Con attendees, it's not jam-packed to the gills with Gen Con attendees. So we'll be able to get seating and all of that. I think people are just generally tired. And also, I believe the 2 Crazy Ketos went live, so that's probably impacting things as well. Sometimes the chat just goes quiet here, especially when I'm nerdy or are over scattered. I'm not worried about it. We will get on ourselves. And weirdly, I noticed that there are things that I talked about quite some time ago, and then stuff all a few minutes ago. And demonic, yes, that was Attila's hands. All right, so my last steep of the tea this evening. And Carrie said they were listening. So I'm not, like I said, I know people are here. Yeah. Oh, and Hoofinet's waiting for their steak to be done rusting. Man, I would be chowing on a steak. Steak sounds good too, but I am pleased with my egg pudding. It's going to be nice because I'll go to bed in the not too far future. So, hey, Brenda. Good to see that you are here. Yeah, with each steep, the flavor changes just very lightly. So I really love that about the Pu'er tea. Yeah, well, it's Sunday night and it's the night before Halloween, so it's definitely one of those things. It's just a holiday as well. Oh, Demonic got huge thick ribeyes at the HEB today. $4.88 a pound. Man, at $4.88 a pound, even if it were outside my budget, I would have bought every one there and then vacuum sealed them up into the freezer. Amazing. Ribeye is my favorite. There is no time when I would ever be like, I'm just not in the mood for ribeye. It is my number one favorite. Caboodle Bry says he's trying to convince Karen that he needs one of the silicone thingamabobs as a health improvement purchase. I agree. And oh wow, and the ribeyes were 2 inches thick. So good. Yeah. I was hoping to go outside today and cook outside, but as it turned out, when I looked at the weather forecast, right at about 6 o'clock is when they said the rain would start. And there was a part of me who was like, well, it might hold off. And then I realized that was dumb thinking, because that's like just asking to be in the middle of the live stream with all my electronics outside and for the sky to open right up and drench it all. So we did know. We went downstairs. And I'm really glad I did, because I think that the changes to the cloth and the lighting have made a good improvement. So. And Hoofenit says he can have the silicone as long as she gets her steak. Sounds like a good plan to me. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the night. And I'm going to finish my egg pudding. And then I'm going to take my magnesium and I'm going to roll into bed so that I can get a full night's sleep and be more or less back to normal tomorrow. So you guys have a great night. And thank you so much for joining me. Hey, Marianne, I'm glad that I got to see you as well. And I'm sure I forgot like 9 million things because, like I said, 3 days in a row where I was up past 2 o'clock in the morning, that is just so not my normal timing. So I'm definitely off kilter and have so much to make up for. I will be back tomorrow with my What I Eat Today videos for BBBE. And that's everything. So you guys have a great one. Bye-bye. Talk to you